My name is Jeannie Vega, and I am the president moderator of the New York Du Jour Assembly.
Amen.
What we do on the New York Du Jour is we hold our public servants accountable.
That's
We hold them
right.
accountable to the oath of office that they all take. That oath is to the state constitution, the federal constitution, and if you're here in the city, then the city charter, the New York City Charter, which is a 4,000-page document that has literally all of their responsibilities and everything within that document. So, I'm sorry. So when we hold these people accountable, we can either do it through the administrative process, or we'll be able to call something called a people's grand jury. The first thing that we did was the administrative process. Now, we did this with Eric Adams, and you might have heard about it. I'm in court right now with Eric Adams.
Awesome.
So, a little bit different than what we're used to. This is not a civil case of any kind. We exhausted the administrative process. What we used was a notice called violation and cure. We let him know of his violations within their system, U.S. codes, things of that nature, things that he was violating. We let him know of the penalties within that system. And then we let him know how we wanted him to remedy the situation.
That's right.
So we then agree on a time to give him. We always want to act with clean hands, so even though I want it to be an hour and a half, we'll give him 10, 15 days to right all his wrongs. Now, send that out certified mail with the signature as evidence that it was received, or we can hand deliver it. Of course, they're not going to allow us to do that, so we send it certified mail. 10, 15 days, whatever it was, came and went, no acknowledgement. Silence being acquiescence within their system. It doesn't matter if he wants to ignore it; he just can't.
Right.
The next notice is letter of default. The notice of default with opportunity to cure. Now, what this is basically summarizing, letting them know again, these are all your violations, and this is how we wanted you to come back into constitutional compliance. You did not do so. This is your last chance to come back into constitutional compliance. Again, giving them a certain amount of time to come back into constitutional compliance. That came and went. So we sent out notice of default with consent to judgment. Now, what that is letting him know that he has no more time to come into constitutional compliance, and we will now begin to take action and hold him accountable for violating his oath of office and violating his duties as stated in the New York City Charter as mayor. So we exhausted the administrative process. We decided that we were going to file it in the Supreme Court. We found something within that 4,000-page document called the New York City Charter, and it was called a summary inquiry. 5 people, men and women, of New York City can hold a public servant accountable for not following their duties or for violating their duties. Of course, this is hidden within the New York City Charter, so you really have to dig through it. So we filed in the Supreme Court under a summary inquiry to hold Eric Adams accountable for violating his duties as mayor of New York City. All of this was in response to the mandates. Now, a mayor actually has no authority over the men and women of New York City
That's right.
to mandate anything.
Yes!
Period.
Lock them up.
That's right.
No authority. Nowhere within that New York City Charter does it say anything about him being responsible for your health.
Right.
There is no such thing as public health.
Right.
There is personal health. What's good for me could be terrible for you.
That's right.
What's great for you could kill me.
Right.
There is no such thing.
Absolutely.
So just by saying that he can create an executive order to mandate anything is him stepping outside the scope of his authority and violating his discretion. He's abusing his discretion.
It's a puppet.
Now, he is a puppet. And because he wants to be a puppet, he's going to be held accountable by the people.
Okay.
Alvin Bragg was sent a copy of every single notice that we sent Eric Adams. Now, he's the DA, and if you ever want to prosecute someone, you have to go to a DA or an AG or wherever it may be. You don't go to your local lawyer to prosecute someone. That's why these things never get done.
Right.
So he doesn't have to prosecute, but he has to investigate.
That's right.
Yes.
He does have to investigate.
That's right.
He absolutely does. It's in the duties It's in his duties in the New York City Charter that he has to investigate if someone has violated, especially a public servant. It's his duty. That's why there's no checks and balances, because everybody is politically affiliated, and a DA should not be politically affiliated. A judge should not be polilically affiliated.
Absolutely.
But we get nothing done because everyone is politically affiliated.
That's right.
So we weren't holding him accountable for not prosecuting, but we were holding him accountable for not investigating. And he had no defense for that, by the way, because he's supposed to investigate. But he did have a defense for not prosecuting, and he used prosecutor immunity when the ADA actually spoke on his behalf. So nothing about that he wasn't supposed to.
Nobody in Washington, the same thing we should do with them too.
Absolutely. Everybody needs to get educated. Now,
Right.
every public servant takes an oath
That's
to
right.
uphold the Constitution.
All
And
of
we
them.
need to hold them to it. It's
All of
literally
them.
our responsibility.
That's right.
The reason why they're running amok is because we have been indoctrinated into believing that the only power that we have is voting and filing lawsuits.
Right.
And that is not true.
And then we work for them.
And we see that with not being able to sue a politician when they violate your rights. That's actually incorrect. We have a right to petition our government for redress of grievance. And we are ignorant to how that is actually done. When you go into the
Talk
courts,
about it.
you're actually going above and beyond. So there's an entire part that's missing. We believe that that part is the administrative process and being able to handle your own affairs. What the administrative process is holding your court on four corners of a piece of paper, just as I explained. That 3-series notice, letting them know, it's similar to a summons. So they send you a summons. They let you know what you did wrong and how they want you to right your wrongs.
Right.
Then they send you the default. Well, you didn't pay or you didn't do this. You have one more chance. And then they send you know what? We're going to start gracing your paycheck. That's how it works. So we can file this in different places, whether it be district court, summary judgment. We can file this on a federal level, and we will file it everywhere and anywhere that we need to.
That's right.
Important to note, I am one of the 6 people that filed in the Supreme Court against Eric Adams. We did it without a lawyer. No lawyers, because no lawyer can actually do this.
That's right.
No lawyer can file the summary inquiry. And you are actually more powerful when you file as yourself and present yourself in court than when you hire an officer of the court.
Right.
An officer of the court has to serve the court before they serve you. So we got educated. We know how to stand in our own square. We know how to articulate our rights, which are natural born, unalienable rights. No mere mortal gives you your rights. You do not have
right.
constitutional rights. Anyone who takes an oath to the Constitution has given up their natural rights, and they now have constitutional rights.
That's
but
right.
your rights are endowed to you by your Creator.
I'm telling you.
Excuse me.
Just leave him.
More than that amount.
Let's just leave him. Let's just leave him. Let's just leave him.
Don't put your hands up. Am I yelling at you?
Let's just
I'm
leave
not
him.
raising up.
Opinions are fine.
Yo,
Everyone's entitled to have an opinion.
I'm on that case with her. What are you talking about?
Stop.
Me, this woman right here by the FBI. And you're right. Yo, that's right. So that's your thing. Why do you interrupt? No, don't put your hands up. Don't put
He
your
can have
hands
an
up.
opinion.
No,
He
you
can have
got
an
up. I'm
opinion.
talking to you nice, bro. No, you're out with yelling disrespect.
But it's okay. It's okay. He can have an opinion. But
What's your problem? We're on that case because people here were doing this country.
Yeah, I'm not even paying that no
A woman was molested on the Floating Earth Stock Exchange, and they were
He's
arrested.
talking. That's
Yeah, come on, we gotta hear what you gotta say.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the power lies in the people, and only in the people. Politicians are nothing more than public servants, and they have to uphold their oath. But we have to learn how to hold them accountable to it, because there are no checks and balances within those branches of government.
That's how a mole
It's up
looks
to us
like.
to get educated and to make them work for us. Make politicians public servants again. Get educated. The New York
Yes,
Juror
he is.
Assembly educates people how to do this, and we put our money where our mouth is because we do it ourselves.
Thank you.
Again, I have filed in court. Kathy Hochul is also in default, and we will file on her as well. Senator Brad Hoylman of the 27th District is in default, and we're going to file him on as well.
Yes.
And we're going to get everybody in default. and we will unseat everyone until we
they
have
got to go.
constitutionally compliant public servants that work for the people. But everyone needs to get educated and be able to articulate their rights.
And what about George Santos?
And get involved. They gotta get
Listen,
involved.
we're not politically affiliated at all. Forget about bipartisan.
That's
We
right.
don't do
It's
politics.
it's
Until politics
Constitution.
runs through the people, we want nothing to do with
That's
politics.
right. Yeah.
These people need to be public servants. So we have our Zoom calls.
We the people get involved in politics. What happens
Hey,
when
we the people, baby. That's what we're talking about.
We the people.
That's what we talking about.
We have our Zoom calls every Thursday at 8 p.m. and you can find that link on our website, nydjour.info. And we educate. We're having an education right now, speaking about the history of the courts. And we do put our money where our mouth is. We get
That's
oaths and
right,
bonds.
always.
We actually found our first bond after 3 years of searching because they are very, very much hitting. And we will be utilizing that as well. But important to understand that every public servant takes an oath to the Constitution. We need to understand what the Constitution says. They adhere to a Republican form of government. That is a republic. We are not a democracy.
That's
and they
right.
are lying to you.
Yes.
And they work
Democracy
for
is
us.
nothing more than mob rule.
Yes.
They can control the masses, but they cannot violate the rights of the individual.
Yes.
Anything that violates the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, is null and void. Any treaty, any agreement, any law, any ordinance, if it violates the Constitution, it's null and void. Let's hold them to that. Let's restore power to the people. Let's put the republic back in the republic.
Our next president.
Alright, so look, we had a little disruption here. I don't
That's
know who
okay.
that-
We got a mold.
No. Hang on a second. Listen up. This is important for our club members. All right, so just listen up. What she's talking about is something like when I first heard about this, I hadn't a clue.
Right.
All right, so you could say I'm naive and didn't understand. I've most of my life I've dealt with a legal process, and she's getting into something.
Awful process.
Well, I guess so. All right, but I think the point to be made here is that no one individual should be allowed to disrupt a meeting. All right, we're here to hear from several Republican points of view, some conservative, some more liberal. All right, but no one gets the opportunity to disrupt the meeting. All right. It's you know, whether you agree with someone or not, or whether probably the best thing to do is to take this young lady on the side and say, hey, can you tell me more about that? Because I got to be honest with you, I am absolutely interested in what she had to say. That doesn't mean I agree with it, all right? But I'd like to find out a lot more. Where did she learn all this from? And how is it funded? All these different things. I want to learn more. And that's why you come to a meeting. You come to a meeting to learn more, and